Thanks so much, gentlemen. It is I, Poor Source, and it is she, Clover. How are you doing today, Clover?
I'm doing good. You and I have had a good vibe going this afternoon, so I'm looking forward to these
Yeah,
matches.
we're vibing, we're vibing, and we got to watch all these Challengers teams throughout the entire Challenger series, and now we get to see them in this Challenger Cup. It looks like the analyst desk is really leaning on Gravity. Are you as sold on them as they are?
I think that Gravity definitely played well and they were able to accomplish quite a lot in those two games that they had chicken dinners, but I also think that some of that that got them there was pretty circumstantial. And so the thing that I'm really looking for today is to see if Gravity can kind of prove that, hey, if things aren't exactly going your way, can you still make it work? I think it was even Cam that said, I'd like to see them without the high ground and see how well they can play with that. So that's what I'm looking for in terms of Gravity, but there's a couple of other teams that showed a little bit of glimmer yesterday that I think could potentially pop off.
Gravity 44 points and back-to-back wins on Miramar. I think we got our I'm definitely going to be keeping my eyes on him here in these last three Miramar games before we head over to Erangel, where honestly, I'm not sure who saw the most success on Erangel yesterday. It was very up and down performances for a lot of teams over on our original map.
Yeah, there was really, I think, a different set of teams in the late game for each and every one of the Erangel matches yesterday. So it'll be interesting to see if we've got some repeat offenders there in terms of chicken dinners and, their ability to take control. Now, the Erangel games, they're a little bit wild, right? Because we had all those open field finishes, something that I think kind of was a good adjustment for Miramar. But now as this first circle pops, we're already starting to see a little bit of glimmer of similarity. Those rocky terrain that we had down south right now, the Elpx and Elusive are kind of hanging out in, was a big player yesterday in terms of our Miramar matches.
On the other hand, you got Orion and Supremacy way, way, way off in the northeast, looting up Tori and Campo. So they got a really long way to go now. Orion, I know a lot of us were expecting a lot of big things from yesterday. Nothing really got going for them at all. I think the highest they managed to place was sixth, and every other game, it was just like a point here, a point there, maybe. Nothing really seemed to get going for them. And man, right off the bat, having this circle pop on the complete opposite side of the map from where you're looting, it doesn't look like the best way to start things.
No, but at the same time, we've seen that teams have been able to come into the late game, or rather say rotate late, should I say, and do quite a bit. I mean, one of those chicken dinner days for Gravity, they were in the blue in phase 2. They were hanging onto the edge and kind of waiting for an opportunity to get into the zone comfortably. So it's not to say that this is a bad thing by any means for these teams, but it is going to make their rotation into these first few circles a little bit, maybe I'd say, more challenging.
Might be a little rough. Might be a little rough depending on how they decide to go. It's be interesting to see if they decide to go west or east on this one and come in from the north, or try to wrap all the way around, come in from the south. Now, another team that I've got my eyes on here, Cozy Crew, currently sitting in fourth place. They were actually fairly consistent yesterday. I mean, out of all our top teams, the lowest they managed to finish was ninth. And, you got ninth, you got third, seventh, second, seventh, sixth. I mean, it's not great, obviously, but it's pretty consistent given how up and down the rest of this lobby has been.
Yeah, and you know what? Additionally, through this as well, Cozy Crew has used a lot of opportunities to get down points and kills, and that's something that it's really going to help out in this lobby because, as you said, it's really been kind of I guess a change up, on who is or isn't feeling themselves comfortable in this game. And a part of it, I think, is just some of the weirdness of this lobby, right? The styles of plays that are kind of coming into account here. And I think that some teams are maybe thinking a little too similarly, and others are kind of maybe catching others by surprise. And that's one of the things that makes challengers so different, as Matrim even said, right? Something that we kind of look for when we're casting at the games of this level. Additionally, yesterday as well, Ascendance was a team that I really liked watching, and most of their total points came from kills. And we've seen that from a couple of these teams that haven't really been able to do much during the late game. So I'm really looking for that from the teams today. I want to see them take those fights. I want to see them obviously play it smart, but you know what? Like, fully commit, find a plan, communicate well with your team, and come out of that fight with players still standing, because that's what makes this really exciting.
Now, the one benefit to having every team kind of be going through their own ups and downs through day one is that with the exception of Gravity in the 2 wins back to back to kind of put them in secure control of first, at least for right now, nobody there isn't really like a huge separation, and it only will take a couple of games or one good game really to kind of put you right back up there in the mix. So everything's still on the board for most of these teams. So we see KeckW getting a little bit of fire sent their way from Cozy, but nothing too serious just yet. Hanging out just on the northern side of the circle, probably just looking where they want to go next.
Yeah, there's a lot of really great compounds and high ground to take in this area. And we can see a couple of teams, as you said, trying to figure out where they want to go, sending a few scouts ahead to see what is and isn't taken, and maybe get a little bit of information on what teams are nearby to not only help the rest of the team rotate a little bit more safely, but be more mindful as the circle closes in, things compress just a little bit. You have an idea of what teams are going to kind of move your way. And that's the information that these teams are looking for right now in the early game. So KeckW Kiers, though, right? This is another team that really had a good day yesterday. We really enjoyed them popping off right now, sitting in third place. And looks like they want this compound with Vexel, but you've got Tetra right there on the high ground and could potentially put some pressure here, assuming that Clueless doesn't put pressure on Tetra himself.
That's a good move for him. I mean, Cozy had this kind of wide 2-1-1 split with the Reno and Nitrogen in the high ground, and then Vexel was able to get out. Looks like Tetra actually landed down on a Tomas here. That should be a fairly easy res, but Cozy taking up a lot of real estate, and they managed to survive for now. As we see Tetra still laying down the fire, although he's got to be careful. It looks like Vexel will come and join him, but he's got Ascendance right behind him, and he's actually going to get shot in the back right now, and he's going to go down.
I mean, the moment that Tetra laid into KeckW Kiers, Ascendance turned, looked his direction, realized, wait a second, guys, we don't have this hillside to ourselves. In fact, all 4 players now getting in a vehicle, sending it to Tetra. They want to see what they can do with this. Vexel actually looked like he was kind of going up there for the res, but heard this push coming in and had to make the hard choice of leaving Tetra behind. So unfortunately, Cozy, I think, is going to lose one here, but you can already see as well, KeckW Kiers keeping a watchful eye on Vexel as he drives out. Some bullets coming in from Simply Matt, but it's not going to do too much. So Vexel should join the rest of Cozy Crew quite safely. But, I mean, this is a very good aggression early out coming in the late game for some of these teams, especially ones that we've really been looking for to turn the dial up just a little.
That's really good from Vexel, to be honest. And to be able to get out of there, I know he was trying to go up there and keep the 2-2 split going, but to realize the situation and be able to see that Ascendance was coming. And, like you said, it is a hard decision to leave that player behind, but sometimes it's one that needs to be made. And as of now, Cozy will be going forward with 3 instead of 2, as we see Sharu and the rest of Clueless all collapsing right on top of one compound. A lot of this going around. We see some splits, but it seems like these splits might be getting a little bit more punished than we're used to seeing usually. So some of these teams now opting instead to kind of keep it a little bit closer.
Yeah, I'm wondering almost if some teams have learned from the chaos of yesterday where 2-2 splits might be good, but we saw a lot of them kind of falter and fall apart just a bit because you've got the full force of one or sometimes even more squads raining down on you. So picking a strong, position to play from early on and see where that phase 2 or phase 3 circle shift goes could be huge. I mean, if this is a hard rotation to the south, there is always that potential that this could go to the Los Hicos, Minas del Sur island. And we don't really see that very often. But I think right now teams are just trying to think, hey, how further down south of the coast can I get? Because obviously once we get to that mid game, it's going to shift back. But look at this Virtue right now in big fight with Play for Fun. Math gets taken out and another fight for dominance on position here, Poro.
New circle does pop, and we are heading over to Chuma, right dead center, where Elusive is hanging out on the high ground, and wouldn't you know it, they get two free crates for their troubles as well. So Elusive setting up real nice through the early part of this game. We'll have to see if they can control that high ground, as it looks now like Elpx, PDS, maybe even Rarity coming in from the south side, and you know that there's going to be a few teams making their way through on the north here as well.
I mean, see, even it looks like Zavrin hanging back for gravity, just making sure things are a little bit clear on the edge before they move in. It's Orion coming in from the north. The only other teams that really need to make a move here is Virtue and Liberate, but they should be able to get in pretty safely. There's still plenty of places out to the west to put down. But, as you said, that position that Elusive had, it was a very strong one, but you've already got a couple teams starting to edge their way into Chumacera and maybe challenge them for that real estate just a little.
Uh-oh. Looks like Orion's going to be pulling real close to play for fun. Yep, they're hopping out, and they are immediately set upon as 174 is going to find Gwen Stacy. Number 1 Tater will take the shots back, and that's going to keep him alive for the time being as he was able to land the timely shots there on 174's. And we'll see what UMAD decides to do. We were talking a lot about UMAD going from the round of 16 as one of the really good players on that squad, but he's just been absolutely invisible through one day here in the Challengers Cup.
Now, it really seems like 174S has been the player to step it up for play for fun lately, and it was some brief moments of brilliance from him in that round of 16. Additionally, as we say that, though, Orion was another one of those teams that were really looking for strength in the series, but now it looks like they are going to at least try to fight for this position. They did send Lamborghini back down to help Greta, holding anchor back at the high ground compound up to the south. As we can see, shots coming back out. Greta's actually going to land one onto UMAD, and that's going to pull 174 back S to try and help out here to nicely throw nade. Or I say nicely throw, is actually UMAD's own nade. It took him out here, but you can see USAD shots onto Tater, and unfortunately, play for fun is starting to lose control of this.
They are losing control of it right now, but Orion's looking good as they continue to push on. Number 1 Tater should be able to... Oh, no, he gets the wipe on it, too? Come on, Tater. You can't let him get that. And now here we go. USAD going to try to come in and provide a little bit of something. He should be able to get the wipe onto Lamborghini as number 1 Tater goes for the res here. Oh, my goodness.
Just wild shooting there from USAD. Takes out Tater, and in a heartbreaking really play here. It looks like Greta, now the last one still up for Orion. She's got a nade back up, but she's got to act quickly before play for fun and start to kind of fall back from this. We can actually see now more shots out. Greta might be able to get the flush here. She does, so 147S won't get revived, and that's now a 1v1 between these two squads, but this is not what either of them needed for the very first fight here on the first day.
Just an ugly fight all the way around here for both teams. As we see how this plays out, Greta will find it. Greta will win. USAD goes down. Play for fun. The first team out, but Orion, despite getting 3 points now, are going to be relying on Greta and how far she can continue on as a solo. And you can see Virtue just creeping around on the south side there. They might have heard these shots. While this fight was going down, we saw a couple of other teams run into each other. No Cap losing one to San Diego Rarity. I believe Elusive might have gotten a down or two themselves. They also have KeckW Kiers now taking up residence in the western part of Chumacera. They have not run into each other just yet, but give it time. Give it time.
And look, I mean, speaking of giving it time, Team Clueless right now scouting ahead to see where they can put down. It's taken them right into the grips of Caesar and Milo for Elpx, who have a very interesting split here. Additionally, now, as you can see, Nick perhaps might have had an idea that they are here. We've had a couple of shots come out a little bit earlier. Back as well to the fight at hand with Greta, Evasion X was taking some shots at her earlier, and it looks like Tanaka and Evasion have been sent ahead to try and challenge Greta for that compound as Virtue wants to hold on to the north. But now as we watch what's happening for the south, this high ground that Team Clueless is trying to push into, it looks like Caesar and Milo are going to go ahead and move forward. And that's going to allow Team Clueless to comfortably backfill for right now.
Yeah, Team Clueless pretty comfortable working this area around the southern part of the map here. We have seen them mostly play these hills. They will take that compound every now and then where Tudu and Monster are. But, look at that. Caesar actually going to get spotted out and taken out by Sharu. Quick and easy. As TC picks up one. Meanwhile, checking on Liberate. This is on the far western part of the circle. They have some high ground, and they've got Ascendance right below them, but that's just about it. We'll see what they have to do. They're fairly safe for now, as Rarity going to take a few shots into passing vehicles. It looks like they were able to pick up one off of Supremacy, though.
And, another team, right? San Diego Rarity, one that we were a little bit concerned about coming out of PCS3 and their ability to keep that aggression going. This seems like a very different team, and I don't know if it's just comfort with the lobby, or if maybe they've started to figure out the things that they needed to work on. But I'm really liking the growth that I've seen from them so far this series. It's now sitting in 4th place. We can see Deadeye was absolutely deadly with the bolties yesterday, sending it ahead onto Supremacy, try to get another site here.
This is aggro stuff from Rarity, and this is exactly what you said we want to see. But the problem is Clueless overlooking the top here, and that might actually push Deadeye down. He's going to have to get dropped to about half HP, just hiding from the bullets right now. The only thing he's got going for him is maybe Supremacy will draw the attention away here.
You said the best thing that could be helpful him right now is Supremacy. As you heard, the tires popping on his vehicle. Subtle's going to try to move in a little bit closer to help as Innate sends it in, and now the fight along the edge. In fact, I think Innate's even trying to find a safer angle on this, but you've got the rest of Elpx just up the hill as well. So 4 teams, 1 area. It is very crowded right now. As you can see, every little peak is met with a little bit of trepidation. And look at that circle shift. That is not good for these teams down south.
That's not where anybody thought this was going. Everybody thought that this was going to go on to Chuma in the south side, but this fight is going to have to play itself out quickly now, as now Subtle and Deadeye have both been taken out. Innate, the last one up, as you can see TC trying to do a little bit of support here. They take out Gate-Cult, but still 2 up here for Supremacy, I believe. Or is it just Honey? I think it's just Honey. Yeah, Reknar's been taken down.
Honey is really the last one up, but nicely thrown nades here from Innate. Gets a little bit of damage. Honey down to half. You can see he's still got a couple of Molotovs in his backpack as he tries to do some damage here. It's raining fire on Honey, but miraculously he avoids all the fire, but takes him right into barrel range. And Innate, though at 23 HP, will take down what is left of Supremacy. And as this happened, Elpx and Clueless both pushed off, so he'll have some time to recover.
Well, the problem being that they win the fight, but Innate now all by himself, as we have another solo player that's going to try to survive for a little bit longer. KeckW Keers, meanwhile, try to make their rotation. They're running right into Ascendance. Tomas gets taken extremely low. The rest of KeckW working the hillside here, as Ascendance is in that 2-2 split separated by the street.
Oh, I don't think he meant to close the door. There you go, Tomas right now trying to find a healthy and safe angle here onto Ascendance. Try and stay alive with the Scar L. We can see just on the outside all those Molotovs doing their damage to Simply Mattis. He's been taken back out of the game, and you've got kind of a really bad situation here. I mean, he's kind of trapped to the point where his teammates are really on the other side of the compound to help out. You can see Winnie looking for another angle along with Retaliative to try to give him just a little bit of relief.
Yeah, this is a tough situation for Winnie and Retaliative. You want to be able to go there and provide some support for Tomas, but they're kind of pinned down here by Ripper and Beck. Meanwhile, you see Team Clueless also making a rotation right behind them. So Witty and Retaliative, you want to be able to kind of crash that compound, but you also don't want to give up the ghost here. So they're going to try to see if maybe Tomas can take care of himself. Retaliative, though, will pick up the kill and the flush on a Nick 101. As now Ripper has sent it across the street, and now it's a 3v1 here. Let's see what Tomas can do.
Tomas, I mean, we've seen him do full squad wipes by himself. His mechanics are absolutely wild, but as you can see, the kill feed, so many teams that are still trying to work their way in are not doing too good for themselves right now as Team Clueless kind of actually just rotated right through this now. So this fight, though, between KeckW, Keers, and Ascendance, they've got the extra time onto this. We can see Ascendance is tired of waiting now as they run up the stairs, try to push onto this, but now that's going to get Tomas right back outside, but he gets taken down here as Ripper gets the knock.
It was a good effort. It was a good effort by Tomas, but I think they pretty much knew the writing was on the wall here. Retaliative and Winnie just going to stay alive for the time being. Ascendance, though, picked up that kill. They got a nice little compound in the corner of the circle now. Team Clueless is, you can see, kind of split around. They've got Sharu just off to the west, Hambino to the center, Lister all by himself here for Pros Don't Snake. We'll see if he can snake it out and bite Sharu in the butt.
We had so many teams that were trying to rotate from this position. Team Clueless had actually sent 2 ahead. We saw Nick 101 get taken down. He was on the back of Hambino's bike, and there you go, another hard shift, this time in favor, yet again, of all the teams that have placed down into Chuma's Sarah, but Hambino, right? Really nice position to the center. So if Sharu can make it out of this fight with Lister alive, there's potential that Team Clueless could rejoin back as a 2-man squad, but Sharu's not going to be safe until he handles this threat.
One thing that they've got going for them is that they are on this high ground, so Ascendance doesn't have any vision onto this. Although they might if they see Sharu running down the hill here. I think Sharu just kind of leaving this, doesn't want to mess around with Lister anymore. He just figures I can get down, try to get into a circle, and we'll deal with it then. Meanwhile, Gravity, just north of Chumacera, nice 2-2 split. And again, we've seen what they can do with the high ground. They're holding on to it right now. Already 6 kills in the bag.
I mean, really liking those northern positions and play from them. The issue, of course, at hand comes from these crazy hard shifts that we've had for Gravity. And so as long as the circle stays in their favor, it should be great. But if we kind of see it go a little bit more towards where the rest of these squads are, they're going to have to really fight for that position. As you can see, Monkey Business has already taken a little bit of interest in Gravity, and they're going to go ahead and pull back Lipson and Zavran, who had sent just a little bit ahead to try and scout this out. So maneuvering their vehicles to stay back safe. You can see as well, Liberate's found themselves the nice high ground, taking shots at this, a fight on Ascendance. In fact, this might be the distraction that Sharu and Lister needed to come back down from the hill. But of course, as I say that, Ice Tech zooming into Sharu just a little.
Ooh, a few nice shots coming out with that MK. Will get sent back by Beck as Ascendance still needs to work their way in. Remember, they had 3 on that southern side of the street. Winnie and Rhett still up for KeckW Keers, but they had the circle. They have the ability to maybe do a little gatekeeping here. We'll see what happens with them as Liberate makes their way in on the north side of the road. And you can see the terrain that they're playing with. Here we go. This is the fight we were talking about. Oh, no, Elusive.
Elusive has constantly been taking shots at here from Chumacera, and we can see Fizzle is going to get retaliative back out. Winnie, though, is still alive, and I'm not sure if Ripper and the rest of Ascendance are in a position to want to push this. You can see already as well, Sneak Attack getting down another player there as Beck gets knocked. As all this is happening, excuse me, now Beck has found another player. Lister has sandwiched themselves in between, so pros don't snake, snaking right here in Ascendance's own backyard.
Yeah, this is wild. Lister eventually will start to strike there. Here comes the shots. They're going to find the down onto Beck. And he should get the... don't think he actually gets the flush. No, Raven just bleeds out. Now Maji's going to go down. Actually goes down to the circle even though he's been shot. Now Winnie, I think, realizing the situation is going to come peek up over the top of this. See if he can find a down, any shots, anything. Oh, Ripper, quick on the trigger. We'll get the knock onto Winnie, and flush onto Winnie, rather. And that's it for KeckW Keers. Beck has also been spotted out, or I believe Sharu been spotted out as well by Liberate. Is now Gravity going to get involved in a fight here with Virtue.
Oh, D-Rich and Pankill both falling here. Zavran trying to get himself to a safer angle. You can see Lipson's actually just going to pull back from this fight. And Greta the Goat was also found amidst this chaos. Gravity holding on for the high ground here. Looks like Zavran is going to try and help out just a bit, but more than throwables damage from Virtue is going to get Lipson down to 50 HP. We can see Battiolo trying to finish some kills here to guarantee that their points not only go to them, but so you can see just how many teams are downhill from them. Additionally, somehow, that nade from Batty is going to get the knock onto Lipson, find the flush onto D-Rich. Now it is all up to Zavran here.
Right on time with it. He's going to take a few shots here. Zavran come from behind. They should have known he was there. How do you not know that? He goes down, he gets flushed, and Zavran eventually will get taken out as well. But Virtue paying the price, down to 1 player here. And coming from the north side should be okay. You got Liberate playing up there. But wow, what a fight there between Gravity and Virtue. As now Monkey Business looks like they finally trying to dig out Cozy Crew.
Monkey Business really playing for this compound. Additionally, you've got Elusive right back to the top of the shelf here. They've been putting just a bit of pressure, so they're going to go ahead and pull out of Chumacera, but that's going to make more trouble for the teams right now that are fighting to hold on to what little cover they can. As you see, JL Day gets Kite down with the SLR, and more throwables back on this one, bouncing right by Vexel. It's going to be a flashbang. And Gribbles trying to recover here, but Reno knocking down that one, but 2 players of Monkey Business picking up the flush as quickly as possible. And though Gribbles is back up to 100 HP, he might have waited just a little too long to take shots here.
They got the blue creeping in. They should be involved here, but JL Day being an absolute nuisance up there for Elusive, seeing if he can pick off any more out of this fight, as it is all down to just Reno and Vexel and Gribbles as they hang out inside that compound. You can see Jay with that overview. But this fight doesn't have to finish off for right now, as they have the circle, and Battleground will get spotted out by Liberate. That's going to be it for Virtue going out in 7th place. I mean, look at how much terrain Liberate has to control over.
I really like it. I mean, Liberate has been quick on their feet to keep good control in this terrain, and Hambino, who has been lying prone, trying to keep his team up as late as possible, is now going to have to finally make a move towards the circle there. As you can see, Bahawaka and Hello Senpai already set up on the map with Ripper for Ascendance in that position. Now, Elusive have a good place to kind of play from this, not only keep that pressure on the rest of Cozy Crew, but potentially spot out Ripper and maybe even do some damage on Hello Senpai and Baha from angle. But you can see just how spread out Liberate is, how much control they have over the northern part of the circle.
Oof. And now they get the whole new circle as they spot out Hambino. That's going to be it for him. 7 kills now in the bag for Liberate, who, if we're being honest, has not had the best luck with Miramar as of late. If you go even back to the last game of PCS3, JL Day finally gets caught out here by Reno. So Elusive should, I don't think they can get that res. Yeah, the Blues pushing in. So Liberate maybe exercising a few Miramar demons here.
Yeah, I mean, phase 7, that's a very risky res. As you see, they're just going to have to let him bleed out. But shots coming in from Liberate right now, dominating with 7 kills. As Cozy Crew is just going to full send it into the center. But you can see Vexel's already realizing there's not really a safe place to go where he won't be spotted out by either teams to the north and south of Elusive. And Liberate have set up quite a sandwich for themselves. Guabi is going to get Reno knocked back down. And you can see JL Day has been stolen. Ice Tech is going to get that kill, flush him out. Oh.
Looks like Liberate has a good idea of where pretty much everybody is here except for Ripper.
This could be huge for Ripper, right? He's got a really nice angle just kind of on the edge of zone, out of sight, out of mind. But Fizzle knows that somebody's been there, and you can see he's still a little bit nervous, not turning his back on this position just yet as he goes to investigate, make sure that they are, in fact, alone. Well, him and Sneak Attack look for another angle to take this fight on to Liberate as well. Peeking the hill has not worked so far. As you see, Hello Senpai and Guabi trying to get us close, and that's actually going to take Elusive right into Ripper. I'm kind of curious if they're going to spot him out here.
It's been a heck of a game for Elusive, and it's a team that kind of needed some points after that one win that they got yesterday. Everything else was kind of forgettable there, as they will find Ripper, finish him off. Let's see if they can maybe pick anything off of Liberate, or if Liberate's just going to go ahead and wipe the floor with them here. As they come up over the top, they'll find one.
Oh, Sneak Attack taking down Guabi is huge. We can see Hello Senpai is going to return that. As Sneak Attack gets taken down, Hello Senpai switching to find the angle. They've just got one more left to find. You know they see how many players are left alive as well. And not only do they have the circle, they've got the high ground. I mean, Fizzle has to come to him. So Liberate just needs to play this one a little bit patiently and carefully. As you can see, some throwables coming back out for Fizzle, but all it is flashbangs. He doesn't have too much jump, but he's still going to flash Bahawaka. That's going to save him from that DMR shot, and you can see Hello Senpai is just letting it rain right now on Fizzle.
I'm not going to lie, I have seen a game be won in a 1v3 by the solo player in this exact location, because the team with 3 up just kept sending players over and over one at a time. And now Fizzle, I think maybe just dying a blue here. Okay, yeah. He realizes that he's pretty screwed. So that's going to do it. Liberate, though, will manage to pull 11 kills and 21 points out of this first game on Miramar.
I mean, as you said, we were really looking for Liberate to step it up and kind of give us, you know, what we've really been looking for. Their Miramar games have not been great during the PCS series. And even yesterday, there were some moments that we were a little bit concerned about. So I'm really excited to see them figure out how to play this game. I don't think that this was circle feeding them. I think that this was them making smart choices in the mid to late game that led them to success and quite a bit of kills as well.
Yeah, they played that from the western side, and they played it quite well. I mean, all their timings were great. All their rotations were fantastic. You got to be wondering if you're Liberate. I mean, if they could have gotten a performance like this in the final game of PCS3, they wouldn't even be here right now. They'd be in the grand finals. So maybe getting the monkey off the back just a little bit here for Liberate with Miramar. It's a great performance coming out of those boys.
And as well, Elusive, right? Really loved their late game performance on this as well. Obviously, they had a little bit of kind of compound curse just for a while in Chumasera, but as teams continue to push in and try to challenge them for that position, they use that as an opportunity to play that aggressively and rack up kills. So I'm really proud of Elusive for that match as well.
Well, can't forget about Gravity. They did go out early, but they got a nice little stack of kills. Well, let's see what the analyst desk has to say about this first game here, guys. Take it away.
Thank you very much, guys. As Poro said, good for Gravity, but great for Liberate. Part of my issue with them in PCS was that they did leave it to the last game, as Poro brought up. But maybe we're starting to see that roster clicking together as they do come out with a good win. Cameron.
Yeah. But looking at how they were able to succeed in that win, part of it was they were able to keep all four up into the late game, which I know is it's a trite cliche at this point, but it's reminding me of a trend overall that we've been seeing in a lot of these games, Miramar and Erangel. So many of these fights they feel sloppier, and I don't mean that in a mechanical sense. I just mean when you're looking at the full results, comparing it to what we see in PCS, when even a straight up 4v4 fight breaks out in these games, so often compared to PCS, the winning team will be a lot more wounded. We're seeing more fights that the team that survives only comes out with maybe 1, 2, or like 2.5 players still up and able to roll with it. So the ability to keep all four members alive is so much more impactful in these games. We saw it with Gravity yesterday twice, and now we're seeing it with Liberate.
Yeah, I mean, to follow up on that, bad exchanges, just so everybody is aware, whenever you're having to sacrifice 3 of your players to get 4 of an enemy team that's near you and just walking away with 1, the sacrifice, sure, it gets you a little bit more, and sure, you get those 4 points out of it, but it just makes it a lot more difficult to move into the later stages whenever teams are doing a much better job of just conserving, taking more logical fights, and walking away with more kills, in this case, Liberate.
All right, so let's keep talking about that because I do think that is very true. I haven't thought about that they're losing, they're winning, but it's costing them bigger than it would in the PCS. But while we keep talking, it's highlight time, and is this the Orion we've been waiting to see?
That's just mean toffees.
I thought we get more out of these guys, and we haven't.
Yeah, we did.
We
I
finally
think
got
that
to see them.
They won, but again, it goes back to what me and Cam were just talking about with the 3-for-4 exchange. Greta did manage to clutch it up at the end, but then she ends up so handicapped towards the later stages that there's not a lot that she can do. A lot of very awkward fights also happening back over towards the west, just due to the nature of the beast with the circle and the way it's kind of set up. And I don't know. I really liked the setup that we saw coming out from a lot of these teams towards the late game, but specifically how Liberate managed to move through and just start taking more and more control over every section of the in-game circles.
I think Liberate making it into that position towards the end game wouldn't have been nearly as impactful if it wasn't from a hard shift, because the end game was very sort of out in the open and there was a lot of high ground on the south side. But because everyone was stacked on that area and having to retreat neck and neck, we saw a couple of clips in that highlight reel of teams fighting in the blue or at least right next to it. I think if that didn't happen, if Liberate weren't able to sort of like sit back, watch everyone else engage each other from a distance, they wouldn't have had that strong of a lineup at the very end of that game. But it was still a good call for them to make, to send it in that position. We saw them spread out quite early on. They weren't one of the only teams to do so, but they were able to keep it up towards the end game and made sure that when it did come to them, they were able to fully execute and get the full win.
In fairness to Liberate, though, the hard shift did occur, but they also cleared out everything around them, how they stacked up so many of their kills. And then they moved from a potentially vulnerable position, but all of the remnants were kind of fighting amongst each other and did manage to just move in and force everybody to just stay next to the edge of the circle. Whenever you see the last section of the fight being somebody having to run out to the blue just because there's no opportunity for them to even get a shot, that just lets you know the amount of control that Liberate had managed to exert inside of that circle.
So Godspeed did bring something interesting up when we were in the green room watching the end of that map, and it was that even in that final fight where there was one member of Elusive left, Liberate was giving him 1v1s instead of sort of planning the team push to execute, and he was saying maybe that was risky. To me, that seems like a symptom of Liberate's play, that they just aren't quite syncing up as a team, and when they do win, it's because everyone's doing great individually. Maybe I'm wrong.
I wouldn't go that far. There was maybe 1 or 2 1v1s in the very beginning of that engagement. It was Fizzle just remaining on Elusive at that point, able to drop one player. If I'm getting my order of how things went down correctly, when you're in a 4v2 situation and then you get that first knock, it's understandable. Even the best teams can go a little bit fast. It'd be okay, let's just finish this up. It's one guy, it should be easy. And because of Liberate's numbers, they were able to do that securely. I think all of them would have slowed it down if they didn't have such a main advantage.
I think it's kind of an indicative of what's happening with the other teams, that they're walking in one at a time into somebody else's firing range, and communications on the other side of it rather than communication on Liberate being an issue.
Gotcha. By the time the backup gets there, they're already taking care of the 1v1. All right, let's take a look at the leaderboards, see how that match actually came out here. And it does come up with a 21-point pickup by Liberate. And Cameron, that's what we were talking about yesterday. At any given point, a team can get right back in this race for top 4.
Yeah, Liberate were not far from it, just 3 points away from Cozy Crew, who were currently, it doesn't make any sense, who were previously in 4th place before this game. So I'm sure they're going to be jumping that and get into 4th place at least, if not 3rd, because KeckW didn't do too well either. Of course, that's a 10 extra points on top of that. It's going to be tight there either way. We also want to look at Gravity and Clueless, because we're sort of predicting who's going to come out on top in this one. And neither team did amazingly, but because of the lead that Gravity already had, that's going to extend by 2 more, making it into a 17-point lead. The amount of games left for Clueless to start to make that comeback is getting smaller.
Let's take a look at the kills and damage matchup.
I mean, this is kind of an indicator of what was going on inside this. You see a lot of 4 kills across the board. Whenever we were looking towards the later stages and even some of the earlier fights coming through there, it was just about positioning and trying to get your players into specific points and high ground advantage and take those fights. Sneak Attack walking away with a ton of damage, but one thing to note on this is look at the amount of damage that Fizzle put out and Sneak Attack, but only Sneak Attack holding up inside the matching 4s as far as kills for that round.
Not too shabby. Big shout out to Ice Tech and Guavi with the 4s. Not too bad. And Reno, for Cozy Crew yesterday, Cameron, they were so quiet initially. We didn't really talk about them a lot. And they came popping off. Let's look at the overall leaderboard and see exactly where they are after that big push just a minute ago. Where are they right now? Okay,
Second
so
place.
they get knocked down to 5. Really? Interesting.
Second place for Liberate right now, shifting up into that position.
there you go.
Jumped over Clueless. Based off of kill points, they're going to be ahead of them at the time, so Clueless need to pick up a couple more kills. Also, a big shift coming up for Elusive.
Yeah, up in 6th place. This is a team that do bad. I gotta win. Then back to bad. And they get a 2nd place here. So the problem is high placement games for them seem to be a rarity, which you can succeed as a team like that, but you need to have the kills to back it up. And so far for Elusive, that doesn't really seem to happen. They are either on or they are off. So being able to, I mean, we use this word all the time, consistency, but able to have sort of at least raise your bottom floor up, even just 4 or 5 points on average. And that will, I think, put Elusive in a lot better of a situation.
Now, for anybody at home who's like, I think Cameron's embellishing, let's just remind you of the placements for Elusive. Their finishes were 16th, 13th, 1st, 13th, 8th, and 16th. So Cameron is definitely on the right track there, where it's just a whole lot of rough followed by a good tumble where they win. Overall kills and damage, Sharu kicking bum on the damage side of things, and not too shabby in the kills either, Matcham.
But Pankill, he's holding up the number 1 spot. 4-kill lead on him right now. Ice Tech back behind him, but let's not forget Zovran as well. 2 members for Gravity holding down inside of our top 5 kills. Ascendance also making an appearance over there with Beck. On the other side of that, though, look at the amount of damage that's coming out between Hello Senpai and Guabi. Ice Tech's getting the reward of the kills, but we're seeing a lot of damage being put out by those 2 members for Liberate.
Absolutely. But I will say this, Cameron,